going. The song just slaps. What's up, everybody?
I love it.
Fantasy Gainz, another edition presented by SuperDraft. I am Squish. That is Kyle. Kyle, how are we? We got a storm coming. Is that going to hit you at all? The snow?
Yeah, it is. I'm going to get 9 to 12 inches, so it's going to be nice to wake up tomorrow and have my car completely buried in snow. So It's just great. Don't you love New England and the snow? It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting 15.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, Jor's in the building. Jor's in the building.
Love to see Jor.
Before we get into what we did last week, you saw it on the screen before if you were here with us. Thursday night single game contest. Chargers, Raiders, and Kyle, you actually have an article up on the strategy site. Give us a little tidbit, just a little tidbit of what you talked about on that.
So I dove into the draft group and I tried to find the best candidate for your champion slot in the Chargers Raiders single game slates. So go read that article right now on our strategy site and you'll see which guy you have to have at your champion slot.
Read the article now or you're dead to us. Dead to us.
Exactly.
It's wall-to-wall football because we got a 2-game slate on Saturday too, which I will be putting something together for. I believe that should be up Friday. And for that article, I'm giving you a whole lineup.
Ooh.
I'm giving you a whole lineup.
Yeah, so you're just filling all the slots for everybody. No one even has to worry about their picks. They just go to your article, they see all your picks. I'm like,
and there's going to be a direct link to my Venmo where if you win, you can just Venmo me and wet the beak a little bit, give back to the community. Exactly. And then, of course, as always, our Red Zone contest on Sunday, 100,000 in guaranteed total prizes, 20K to first. And that's why we're here, is for the Red Zone. But before we can get to this week's Red Zone, a quick look back at last week. And Kyle, you're riding David Montgomery all the way home, 3 straight weeks. Pretty good games from him this week, 33.75 multiplier fantasy points.
Yeah, he took advantage of that awful Houston Texans run defense, and it started immediately. He had that 80-yard touchdown in the first quarter, and it didn't let up. He was great. So I was a coward last week, and I faded my guy Baker Mayfield, who I picked for this show. And it bit me straight in the ass. And now
that's not a big bite though. You seem like you don't got a whole lot of meat on your lower half.
Oh yeah, thank you, appreciate that. But yeah, David Montgomery
means you lean. I look like I packed 2 10-pound hams in both sides of my pants. All right, I'd much rather be you.
Little squatty body action, I know. So, but yeah, David Montgomery, he was really good in the game. I didn't fade him, and it paid off well for me in the SD Gold Club contest.
All right, there you go.
And then the stack that I had, where that you could see that one coming. I mean, the Titans got destroyed by the Browns the previous week, and they were going up against the Jaguars, who have been tanking basically like the Jets since week 1.
Yeah. And
all 3 guys, Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, and A.J. Brown, all went off in this game. So that was a very good stack. So I hope some people out there played that one.
Don't forget, you faded Darren Waller too, only with 13.75 at 12% owned in the red zone.
Solid. Yeah, he was. I mean, he actually had a better game than I expected him to have. Like, I thought he was going to be a total non-factor.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still a lot less than what he did against the Jets, obviously, where he had over 40 points. So, they're 12% on. That's a lot of people taking the cheese there after that big Jets performance. So, Waller was solid, but definitely not as great as you would expect to be, especially the guy who's 12% owned.
I didn't have an awful week. My best plays must start Chris Carson. He had 22.49 multiplier fantasy points. Not a crazy week. He had 99 total yards, a few catches, and a touchdown there. A little bit more work, he would have got up there. My long shot, Darnell Mooney, he scored. Only had 2 catches, but he scored only 17 points, but at 1.2% owned. I said he was due for a score, and he got a score, and I can finally get the monkey off my back. But I have never been more excited about a long shot than I am for mine this week. We'll get to that later. But I am so excited for that. I don't know how that misses at all.
Yeah. I'm excited to hear it. My long shot is not nearly as appetizing, but yeah,
we'll see. We'll see. First, we'll get into the must starts here. For what is it? Week 15 now. I gotta have a calendar. All right, week 15 must start. Kyle, you're on a roll. Who we got?
So I'm going very similar to what I did last week, and I'm going with a running back against the Houston Texans. And that running back who's facing the Texans this week is Jonathan Taylor, who there was a little bit of, nervousness there with him because Hines was kind of taking a lot of his, production there.
Yeah.
But the last couple of weeks, he's really stepped it up and became the main guy again, where against the Texans, they played the Texans a couple of weeks ago, had 21 fantasy points in that game. And then against the Raiders last week, he just ran all over them. He had 31.1 fantasy points in that game, 20 carries for 180 yards. He was excellent in that game. So I think with the way the Texans have struggled against running backs all season long, they've gotten ran over week in and week out against the running game. And I don't see why Jonathan Taylor wouldn't do the same this week against the Texans with they've had the most fantasy points per game allowed more than any other team in the league so far.
Yeah.
And even what's different about this Texans team is they're even more limited than they were a couple weeks ago on offense. So I think, and they're playing on the road at the Colts. So I think there's a chance that the Colts will get up on this game. And it was a closer game back in week 13. But I think this week there's a chance that they're going to get a lead in this game and they can really lean on Jonathan Taylor in the third and fourth quarter. And he's going to have another big game. And I still like his multiplier moved down a little bit after the Raiders game, but I still think 1.3x is still a good value for him for what I think he can potentially bring this week against the Texans.
I like it. I love Jonathan Taylor. I mean, you've seen a couple of these rookie running backs struggle out of the gate and then eventually claim that job towards the end of the season. And my must start is one of those guys, and his name's Cam Akers.
Yep.
Cam Akers at 1.5x finally seems to be the starter for the Rams. They drafted him. I believe he was in the second round too, so they have a lot of stock there. They were riding the hot hand early, whether it was Henderson or whether it was Malcolm Brown. But Cam Akers, the last 2 weeks, 50 carries total, 144 total yards per game in those 2 weeks. I believe he scored only one touchdown in that span, but he did score the week before that. So you keep getting this guy touches, he's going to find the end zone. Chris Carson against this Jets defense last week, like we talked about, 99 total yards on 15 touches. Cam Akers is going to get more than 15 touches. The Rams have run the ball the seventh most in the entire National Football League. He's going to get more than 15 touches. And the way that this guy's rolling, he's going to find the end zone. And we could be talking about another game where he's 160, 170 total yards by the end of it. If you look there, Akers, if he did exactly what Chris Carson did on 15 touches, 99 yards and a touchdown, with his multiplier, he'd have 26. And he's going to get the ball so much more than 15 times, at least 20.
Yep.
He's fresh for this run that the Rams are going to be going on. He's fresh.
Yeah, and as you said, the Jets are obviously, we know how terrible they are. So they're going to be, I would be stunned if the Rams were in a position in this game where they had to continue to throw to either hold on for the victory or, I mean, this is not even possible, but come from a deficit. Like, they're not going to be trailing this game. So Cam Akers he should be featured a lot, and we've seen what he can do against shaky run defenses. Which,
his multiplier too. He's not, by the end of the season, if he keeps running like this, he's going to be around 1.25, 1.3. He's still at 1.5 right now. That's a big jump from, I think, on that single game against, was it New England that he was around? It wasn't the single. It was the main slate the week before. He was at like 1.75, I believe. I wrote about him. I think it was 1.7 or 1.75. Quick jump down to 1.5 because the powers that be at SuperDraft know what's up. They know this guy's starting a ball.
Yep. So I think, and especially after the performance against the Patriots, where you see the Patriots have they have no linebackers, and the Jets have no talent on the defensive front either. So Cam Akers he'll have a big day.
All right, there you go. Who are we fading, Kyle?
So this week, I am going to fade a guy that I faded before, one of the better quarterbacks in the league, although not at all recently, and that is Russell Wilson, who in his first 8 games, he was fantastic. MVP candidate, 28 TDs, 8 picks, 30.5 fantasy points per game. And this in the last 5 games where it's been a real struggle for him. 8 touchdowns, 4 picks, and only 17.1 fantasy points per game, which, at 1.05, like that's just not nearly enough juice for you to draft him in your lineup. And especially with you're playing against a really good Washington defense that has been pressuring the quarterback like crazy. I mean, Chase Young has been unbelievable. Like, did you see the play last week he made against the Cardinals?
Scoop and score?
And also he pretended to go. He went back in coverage and then realized that Kyler Murray is not Kyler Murray. Who am I thinking? Nick Mullins is. Yeah. He's actually going to throw, and then he sacked him. So Seattle's offensive line has struggled. So I think Chase Young and the rest of that defensive line is going to have a good day against Russell Wilson. They're 10th in fantasy points allowed to opposing quarterbacks. So I just think with the way there's been no positive. I mean, Wilson had a good game against the Jets last week, but it's the Jets. I mean, come on. He threw 4 touchdowns against the Jets, over 20 fantasy points. And if we take that game out of the equation and we did the previous 4 games other than that Jets game, his average fantasy points per game would be even lower. It'd probably be towards, 13 or 14. So, I'm not buying the good performance he had against the Jets as a sign of things to come. I think he's going to struggle against this Washington defense.
That Washington defense is for real. They're for real.
And another thing is they're going to the East Coast to play the Washington football team and playing at 10 a.m. East Coast, 10 a.m. West Coast time. So, that's another factor thrown in there that puts the Seahawks at a disadvantage. So, I think Wilson's name at this point is giving him the respect of 1.05x. And I think in reality, he's really a 1.25 guy at this point in the season.
All right.
So I'm fading Russell Wilson again.
There you go. You've been pretty hot with your fades. Last week I didn't do too great. Dalvin Cook finished with 20 even, over 100 yards rushing and a touchdown. I know this one's going to bite me in the ass, and the numbers support this in terms of a passing that the Chiefs can negate Taysom Hill passing, but rushing is a whole different thing. But let's be fair. Let's go over this. He's average. It's really tough to fade Taysom Hill, but it's a gut play. I'm a gut guy. I got to trust my gut. Yeah, he's averaging over 30 SuperDraft points per game. And yes, that's an amazing pick of him just munching on a turkey leg. He's averaged over 30 points in his last 4 with his current multiplier. Last week struggled a bit with Philly. I believe in that first half in particularly. This is going to be tough though. But KC has kept mobile quarterbacks in check through the air this season for the most part. Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen all combined for 56% completion and 362 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That's all combined. That's not 306 yards a game. That's total.
Yep.
Rushing the ball, when I was going through the numbers and crunching them, it was pretty bad, and I didn't want to say them out loud because it would make me look bad, so I just didn't write them down. You can look that up yourself. I'm not doing that. Oh, Breeze got cleared today. Maybe Breeze does play. But if Taysom does play, this is a gut thing. If Taysom ends up playing, I'm not starting him. And I'm not convinced. You can hear it in my voice. I'm not convinced. But it's times like this as a man, you just have to put it all on the table. You just have to put it on the table.
See, I think
and maybe I got something against the Saints because I keep fading Alvin Kamara, and now I'm fading Taysom Hill.
See, I think I can hear a lot of pain in your voice because I know you have a lot.
I love Taysom Hill.
Yeah, you have a soft spot in your heart for Taysom Hill.
He's the croissant of the NFL. He's so versatile.
You just can't get that love out of your heart, and it's hard. It's hard for you to fade him. And to me, you nailed this pick. I think he's going to have a brutal week against the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are going to, if he indeed plays, I think the Chiefs are going to eat him up and spit him out in this game. And
they're due for a bounce back game after what Tua did to them last week.
Absolutely. And I just think, the Eagles exposed him a little bit. And the thing with Taysom Hill is he needs to have a lead in these games to really be productive.
I mean, they formed a comeback in that game against Philly, though. So he did it from behind. But I agree. A quarterback like him has to have the lead. Yeah,
and he wasn't as good against Philly as he was in the previous games. And they're going to fall behind. That second half,
he did really well.
Yeah, they're going to fall behind. They're going to fall behind in this game against the Chiefs. So, if he plays, I think I'm in total agreement. I don't like him at all, even at one point.
Now, here's a wrench in the thing. I remember just a wrench in our show. I saw an update that Ronald Jones will not be playing this weekend, I believe, because of surgery in the reserve COVID list. That puts Leonard Fournette at 1.6x, potentially being the lead ball carrier. Are you thinking about playing him at all against Atlanta?
I think
off the top of your head.
I think that's a pretty decent play, but I think this feels like a game. I'm going to get to it later at the stack, but I think this feels like a game where it's going to be close. So I don't know. And I like the matchup with Tom Brady throwing on that secondary. So I don't know if Fournette's going to be – I mean, I like him. He's not a bad choice, but I don't think he's going to be like a breakout star in this week or anything like that.
Just wanted to sprinkle that in. All right, we'll get to long shots. Kyle, I'm going to let you go first because I'm too excited to do mine right now.
Yeah, you're really hyping this up. So my guy, it's a bit of a it's a situation where Matthew Stafford has to play in this game.
Oh.
So I would say if he doesn't play, I would fade this altogether. But if he does, I think this is a really nice option. And that's Danny Amendola at 1.7x, who low-key has been pretty solid these last – low-key has been pretty solid these last 4 games.
The kids are saying.
Make fun of me. I'm a Gen Z guy over here. So last 4 games, 4 catches. He's averaged 4 catches, 54 yards, and 7.8 fantasy points per game in his last 4 games with Kenny Golladay out. And it looks like Golladay is not going to play again this week against the Titans. And I think, the Titans have had, they've had a good season, as we know, but they've had struggles all season long against covering passing games and covering opposing receivers, as they've given up the 3rd most fantasy points per game allowed to opposing receivers. We saw that, recently against Cleveland, most recently against Cleveland, where Baker Mayfield lit them up and Jarvis Landry had a huge game, and Higgins and all those guys. So I think, that's going to be, an advantage for Danny Amendola against that Titans secondary. And, he has no touchdowns this season despite over 500 yards receiving.
So what does that mean, Kyle?
And that means that's your favorite logic. He's due.
He is due.
He is due for a touchdown. And, it's been 14 games, no touchdowns over 500 yards. He is due for a touchdown.
Yeah.
And if he scores a touchdown, I mean, that's gonna jack up his points a little bit. I mean, he's getting 7.8 per game in the last 4 with no touchdowns at all. It's just the receptions and the yards. So I think, if he gets a touchdown, and I think they're going to have to pass in this game to keep up with Tennessee. So, if Stafford plays, I'm gonna actually throw that out. Even if Chase Daniel plays, I like this. Because Chase Daniel.
Don't say that name. I don't want to hear Chase Daniel's name. It's not the weekend yet, Kyle. I've been working all day. I don't want to have to hear the name of my starting quarterback on Sunday.
Chase Daniel is a nice little backup quarterback option who can throw the ball to Danny Amendola and get him his fantasy points. He's not a complete disaster as a backup. So yeah, I'm throwing that out. Even if Matthew Stafford is out, Chase Daniel, I like him a lot. So, and as I said, Lions are going to.
I hope the Lions don't score a single point now.
Yeah,
you brought up Chase Daniel.
Jesus, not cool, what do you have against Chase Daniel? He's a perfectly good backup. You should appreciate his duty in the NFL and what he's done. So yeah, I like Danny Amendola.
Whoa, yeah. Oh, good for him. Good. Yeah, Chase Daniel. A little round for the backups here. Why are backups, Kyle? They stink.
Matt Castle is a great one too. Don't slander his name at all either.
Well, so, yeah, he's a Pro Bowl quarterback.
He was.
He stunk.
Was a Pro Bowl quarterback. But yeah,
what do you win? What do you win? 10 games and throw 21 touchdowns with Randy Moss and Wes Welker the year after? Kyle, you and I could have thrown for more touchdowns than he did to Randy Moss and Wes Welker.
Well, also look, do your research here. Do your research here, pal. He had 28 touchdowns for the Kansas City Chiefs in 2010, and that was the year he made. That was the year he made the Pro Bowl.
Good for you. Good for you. So, yeah. You know what, Kyle? He stinks.
He doesn't stink. Matt Castle,
I would rather have Brock Heward as my quarterback.
Anyway, we're way off topic here. Danny Amendola, play.
You give backup quarterbacks way too much credit. You just do. You always do.
Jeez,
they're good locker room guys, and that's it.
These backup quarterbacks must have done something in your family. My God.
I'm a Lions fan. Every quarterback I've had's a backup quarterback. What do you think?
All right. Well, I'm going to say it for the 5th time here. I like Danny Amendola. So without further ado, let's get to your amazing fade here.
All right, Chris, I need you to put the graphic up that says the red zone stuff right now. And I just want all of our viewers to just pay attention to it, right? I'm going to read it off to you. $100,000 in total prizes, $20K to first, $25 entry. You got to enter by Sunday at 1. And the only thing you need to do is put Nick Mullins. Chris Mullins is a guy I used to work with at a liquor store. Nick Mullins at quarterback at 1.75x in your starting lineup. Listen, I'm all hot and bothered thinking about Nick Mullins that I got him switched up with someone else. Nick Mullins is going to destroy the Cowboys this weekend. I can't wait. His last 5 games, he's averaged 38.5 pass attempts. Has he been completing some of them? Yeah, maybe some of them. Not a whole lot, but some of them. Dallas in 8 games against quarterbacks that have attempted 30 or more pass attempts, 261 yards per game, 18 touchdowns to 1 interception in those 8 games. That averages to about 2.25 touchdowns per game. Only that 1 interception, 63% completion percentage, right? Nick Mullins, 7 interceptions in his last 5 games. That's on me. I get it. Turning the ball over. Dallas has only got 5 interceptions all season long. That's not a defense you really have to worry about. Am I wrong? No, I'm not wrong. I'm right. I'll keep going. All Nick Mullins has to do, 260 yards, 2 touchdowns. With his multiplier, that's 32.2. And it's not out of the realm of possibility that he throws for 260 yards and 3 touchdowns, which he's done before multiple times this season. That would get him just under 40. All you need is Nick Mullins and $25, and you'll walk away $20,000 richer. That's it.
I love that you just went on this nice little diatribe on Nick Mullins after you just ripped me to shreds for supporting backup quarterbacks when that's exactly what Nick Mullins is. He's a backup.
No, he's a starter in the league now. Oh, he started like 10 games this year. He's a starter. He started about 8, 9, 10 games this year.
Guess
Chase Daniel's a career backup because he looks good with a quarterback in his hand and a Cinnabon in his mouth.
If Matthew Stafford was hurt, Chase Daniel would have just as many starts. But that's not here nor there. I kind of like the pick, though. I like it. I think
you better. It's a great pick.
Dallas's defense has been terrible. I mean, they lost Byron ever since they lost. Byron Jones was a loss in the offseason that a lot of people didn't seem to talk about too much. And that's really hurt their secondary. And they've just been shredded all season long. So And Mullins, he's had some moments there where he's looked pretty good. He didn't look good last week against that Washington defense, but Dallas's defense is nowhere near that caliber. So I think, I don't mind the pick. And despite your hypocrisy here for
he's not a backup quarterback. He's a starter.
I'm not going to rip.
Look at him. He's a starter.
Not going to rip. I'm not going to rip you for your blatant hypocrisy.
All I'm saying is Nick Mullins is the starter this weekend. Chase Daniel might be the starter this weekend because he's generally a backup. That's all I'm saying is that I'm right.
And Jimmy Garoppolo, because he hurt his knee, is also he's typically the starter. So Mullins is backup last year.
Bert, it's okay that you late. All that you miss is that Kyle is worshiping backup quarterbacks. Kyle, get to your stack.
So are you. All right, here. He was, our producer, Chris, just said Aaron Rodgers is a backup, which is a great point against your point right there, Alex.
Aaron Rodgers was not a career backup. Chase Daniel is a career backup.
Can you let me get to my
I'll get the mic closer.
Please? Can you let me get to my stack,
get
please?
to your stack, Kyle. Let's go. Hurry up.
Thank you very much. Okay, so Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Calvin Ridley in this Falcons and Bucs game that we get to watch this weekend. I think Tom Brady, he's always had success against the Atlanta Falcons. We've seen it before. We don't need to talk about 28-3 again. We've already seen it. We've already talked about it 1,000 times. I think against this porous Falcons defense, he's going to have a good game. Evans, he's still got the Evans and Godwin. Antonio Brown's gotten in the mix a little bit. Gronk has played really well. So I think Brady's going to have a nice game. Evans, I think Mike Evans he's been a touchdown machine this year. Mike Evans has. So I think
not last week when I picked him, that bum.
Yeah, I know. That's always the way. You pick the guy who's been great, and then that 1 week you pick him, he doesn't score a touchdown, and then he goes back to scoring touchdowns, which I think that's what Mike Evans is going to do this week. He's going to score a touchdown because you won't pick him, and because the Atlanta Falcons defense sucks. So I think he's going to be good. And then Calvin Ridley has been the best receiver on the Falcons this year. Matt Ryan's been finding him all season long. We all know the Tampa Bay run defense has been great. Not so great last week against Dalvin Cook. That's because Dalvin Cook is really good. Todd Gurley isn't on that level. So I think Calvin Ridley is going to get a lot of targets in this game, and he's going to continue to produce at a high level. So I like that. Brady, Evans, Ridley. Play him.
All right. I like it. I'm going with the guy we just talked about, Nick Mullins, Brandon Ayuk at 1.4, and then CeeDee Lamb at 1.55. And I'll tell you why. I already talked about Nick Mullins. I'm telling everybody and their mother, anybody that wants to listen to me, start Nick Mullins this weekend. But Brandon Ayuk, in his last 4 games, 3 touchdowns in that span, averaging just over 12 targets, just under 8 receptions, and 95 receiving yards in that span. Clearly is the favorite target of any quarterback, regardless of who's throwing the ball there. I guess you can, when George Kittle's out, that makes it a little bit easier. But he's been the guy there. And CeeDee Lamb, he has been doing great. In his last, I believe, 5 games, 31 targets, 21 catches, 218 yards, 2 touchdowns in that span. But he's the slot guy in Dallas. And that San Francisco 49ers defense, the secondary, is predicated on 2 outside corners being very elite. And that leaves the slot a lot to be desired. The slot corner has had a lot of problems this year in San Francisco. Guys like Braxton Berrios burned him for 59 and a touchdown. Preston Williams had 106 yards in a score. Valdez-Scantling, 53 yards and 2 touchdowns against that team. And most recently, Cole Beasley, 9 catches, 130 yards and a touchdown. Slot guys burn San Francisco this year. So I love that stack. And juice there. Mullins, Ayuk, and Lamb, all with pretty juicy multipliers.
I got to say, despite that the Nick Mullins backup quarterback hypocrisy, that point you made about the slot receivers, I think that was the best point you made on this entire show for the history of this Fantasy Gainz show.
You're surprised, Kyle.
It's the best.
It's like I live, breathe, and die all this stuff. All right.
San Francisco, they run the Seattle defensive scheme. Sherman's on one side, Jason Verrett is on the other, and they don't move those corners, and that's why the slot guy's been successful. So excellent point by you, and I think you just gave me a very nice idea for who I should be putting in my lineup this week.
There's a lot of juice in that stack too. There's juice, and it's juice where you're like, oh, it could work, but it's juice you feel comfortable with.
I don't know about Mullins, but on SuperDraft, you gotta love CD Lamb at 1.55.
That's true. That's true. Also, Bert, you weren't here. We love Cam Akers this week. That'll do it. Week 15. That is Kyle. I am Squish. Next week's Christmas. We'll be here, and I'll probably be a little bit fatter with a big white beard.